Hello and welcome. I'm Catalina Marchant De Abreu. Welcome to a W News special interview on Arabiya English, broadcasting from the Arabiya studios. It's been over 2 months since Israel and Hamas agreed to the first stage of a ceasefire agreement, which included the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinians. Hopes were high that the breakthrough would bring peace to a conflict that had lasted over 2 years, costing tens of thousands of lives. But both Israel and Hamas have accused one another of violating the truce, from the delay of hostage returns to Israel to the killing of a senior Hamas commander. Questions are being asked about the fragile agreement and whether or not the second stage can be achieved without the full completion of the first. Now, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has recently said that a second phase of the U.S. brokered peace plan to end the war in Gaza is close. But there are key issues that still need to be resolved. I'm now joined by the Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar. Welcome to the program. Mr. Minister, given the background of what's going on between Israel and Hamas...
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining the program. I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Minister, is this ceasefire likely to hold on to the second phase? There seems to be multiple obstacles before implementing this plan.
We hope it will. Unfortunately, we are learning from public statements of Hamas seniors like Khaled Mashal and others that they don't have any intention to disarm and to demilitarize Gaza Strip as it is the heart of the Trump plan. And I hope this attitude will be changed, because we will not have clearly a progress without having a progress on the main issues. And the main issues is how Gaza Strip will not be a threat to the state of Israel. And this is directly connected to demilitarization, de-radicalization, and disarmament of Hamas and Islamic Jihad.
That's right. A major sticking point in phase 2 of the ceasefire is the disarmament of Hamas. Hamas refuses the idea of having their weapons taken away by force. Hamas has actually a different vision, they say, to disarm for the next 7 to 10 years, with guarantees that these weapons are hidden, kept, and not used. What happens if Israel and Hamas do not come eye to eye with a disarmament strategy in the coming days?
First of all, Hamas indeed has a different vision. The vision of Hamas is the elimination of the state of Israel. But it's not a matter of Israel opinion or Hamas opinion. The president's plan is very clear. And in the heart of it is the issue of disarmament and demilitarization of Gaza Strip. That will happen because we will not live with a terrorist state in our border. We made it clear. We said all the times that we will be happy to achieve our objectives in a diplomatic path with political means. So we give it a priority. We will give any possible help for the plan to be successful, and we hope it will be successful. But eventually, if it will not be successful, we will have to deal with the problem, because we are the neighbors of Gaza Strip.
And do you truly believe that a mutual agreement can be reached between both parties?
Well, there is the plan. The plan theoretically was agreed by both parties. So we don't need a new plan. We need to implement the current plan. This is our intention. This is our will. And I hope that we will be successful with that.
Now, there's another key sticking point in the delayed return of the last Israeli hostage. This would be Ran Givli. What information, if any, is available about the whereabouts of his body?
Well, I cannot share a lot. I will only say that if Hamas really wants to bring it back, they are able to do that as much as they did it with all the other dead hostages And I remind you that they told after a very small number of deceased bodies that they cannot do it, but eventually they did it. And it's the same with this issue. We demand it, and I hope it will be able to implement that and to have this last deceased body and bring him to a funeral in Israel.
Now, moving on to another point, U.S. Envoy Tom Barrack just visited Israel this week. This was a preparatory step for the anticipated meeting between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Donald Trump coming up on December 29th in Florida. Reports are that this meeting was highly sensitive since Donald Trump is growing impatient over the stalled transition into the next phase of his plan for Gaza. What do you think will come out of this high-stakes meeting between both leaders?
First of all, I participated in this meeting, and there was the issue of Gaza and Gaza plan was not discussed at all. The issues of in this meeting was Turkey and Syria, since Ambassador Barak is the ambassador of the U.S. in Turkey, and is also responsible for, is the special envoy for Syria. So those were the issues for this meeting. And that was basically a good meeting. And I'm sure that also the meeting in Mar-a-Lago at the end of this month between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu will be good, as all the previous meetings were.
That's right. Other points, as you said, during this meeting were discussed between, that will be discussed as well between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. These are regional peace efforts and security issues. So we're talking about Syria here. Israel and Syria are reportedly discussing a new security agreement to replace the 1974 disengagement agreement. Why is this pact being revisited now?
I don't want to enter into a blame game, but lately the Syrians had toughened their positions and put some preconditions, and therefore I believe that we were delayed. Our interest is to reach a security agreement with Syria. By the way, we would like to reach a peace and normalization agreement with Syria, but on the time being we had spoke about a security agreement with Syria. Our interest is security, to secure our border. You know that in Syria there are all kinds of militias, some of them very extremist. We had some terrible images coming from confrontations and massacres of Alawites and Druze in Syria. And therefore, we are worried, and we want our border area to be safe. And this is our interest in Syria, and I hope that we will be able to reach this security agreement soon.
Exactly. As you mentioned, there has been delays over this agreement. Given the current disagreements, how realistic do you think a breakthrough is in the near future for an agreement between Israel and Syria?
I don't want to be a prophet, but I think basically it's in the interest of both sides. From the Israeli perspective, we would like to get a security agreement from the point of view of our security interest. From the Syrian perspective, it is also necessary. Syria want to stabilize and to move forward. So basically, I believe it can be achieved. It basically should be based on the current status quo in southern part of Syria. And I think it is achievable, but I don't want to be a prophet, since if you would have asked me a few months ago, I could have said, well, it's in reach, but then the Syrian side toughened its position and we were delayed. So I don't know. I can only say that our interests remain the same.
And will Israel still have military and soldiers there?
Well, you know, what happened on December previous year was that into the buffer zone, according to the 1974 agreement, entered all kind of militias. They entered into UN posts. They took the guns of UN soldiers, and they were violating the disengagement agreement from 1974. And I remind you that Israel took this territory during the Yom Kippur War, but gave it back in a certain conditions. And the conditions, among other things, were first that it will be a buffer zone, that this kind of militias cannot enter there. Second, that terror activities will not be promoted from there. By the way, it's a very small territory that gives us a topographic better position in order to protect our communities in Golan Heights. It is understood that after October 7th, taking into consideration all kind of radical factions exists today in Syria, we will not be in a situation that this scenario will repeat in other frontiers. So basically, this is why we are there. We never wanted we never had territorial ambitions in Syria. If we would have, we could have taken much bigger land than on December 2024 when everything was shaking, but it's not in our interest. Our interest in our Syrian border is our security. This is our sole interest, and we also have an interest to protect Jews that were lately slaughtered 2 times. And as you know, we have a serious minority community in Israel of Jews, and this issue is very important for us. It is very sensitive that they will be safe, and this is it. We don't have any other agendas but these agendas.
The situation in Lebanon is also a major concern affecting regional stability amid concerns that Israel might launch a major offensive against Hezbollah. Does Israel believe that Hezbollah can be contained or disarmed through diplomatic means, or is military escalation becoming unavoidable at this point?
I want to ask you why Hezbollah should be contained. I mean, it is a decision of the government of Lebanon to dismantle Hezbollah. So there I'm asking, who is violating Lebanon's sovereignty? It's Hezbollah that violates Lebanon's sovereignty. We don't violate Lebanon's sovereignty by attacking Hezbollah that attacked Israel from Lebanon more than 1 time, and lately more than 1 year, without any reason to do so. So frankly, we are interested that the Lebanese government will move forward with the implementation of its decision. We don't see it going forward in the way we would like to. It is not only our criticism. The United States, I believe, and others share this criticism. And there is a certain of infiltration of Hezbollah also into the Lebanese army. And therefore, we have, I can tell you, our wish is to have peace and normalization with Lebanon. The only thing that I believe stands between us and Lebanon in order to be there, because we have a very minor border disputes which could easily be solved. But the only problem is Hezbollah presence and Iran, which instructed Hezbollah last July not to disarm. So effectively, when Hezbollah is the strongest military force, stronger than the army of Lebanon, they are keeping Lebanon under an indirect occupation of Iran. This is the situation we must finish in order to get, on one hand, security for Israel, and on the other hand, freedom for Lebanon, independence for Lebanon from foreign forces, and to bring back Lebanon to its people.
And another, as you mentioned, regional concern is Iran. Israeli officials have just recently said, including the Mossad chief David Barnea, he said on Tuesday that Israel must ensure Iran doesn't restart its nuclear program. And this comes 6 months after the Israeli forces struck the Islamic Republic's atomic facilities during a 12-day war. How real is the risk of another direct confrontation between Israel and Iran today?
It's not only an Israeli issue. As you know, the Americans participated on our attack on these nuclear installations in Iran. And as you know, lately, President Trump said that if they will go back and try to enrich uranium like they did, they will be attacked again. It's President Trump that said it, not myself. So I believe that Iran trying to get a nuclear weapon is a danger for the security of this region. By the way, when you speak with representatives of Arab countries, you can hear, in close conversations, you can hear it from them very well as well.
Finally, Mr. Minister, we're going to end on a sad note, as sad news coming out of Australia this week for the entire international Jewish community with the Bondi Beach attack. Do you think the world is doing enough to contain anti-Semitism?
Clearly not, because when countries make this reality of anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish expression in the public sphere, making incitement available, optional, without taking necessary steps, without taking significant steps, unfortunately, there are people that are influenced by this incitement. So I believe and I hope, and we are working in order to achieve that Western countries will take more serious steps in terms of battling against anti-Semitism in the public sphere and in the digital sphere.
That was Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar. Thank you for joining us here in Arabiya English. Thanks for joining us for this special interview. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on X. Goodbye.